Hey everybody, Trainer Joe here. I want to talk to you about binging, how to never binge again. Most of you have binged. You've confessed to binging. You've been on a plan. You say, I was doing good, then I had a binge. Well, let's look at that for a second. How can you really expect to go through life never binging again? Well, let's look at one thing first. For you to binge, you have to actually do it, okay? It's not something that happens to you. It's a choice that you make. So in one sense, it would make more sense to never do it than to do it, because to do it, you're deciding to do it, right? It's not something that just landed on you. You went out of your way to do it. Another thing to look at and consider is how it has become normalized. You've probably looked at it and said, well, that's a normal thing, almost like it's expected. Well, this happens, then that happens, and these things line up, and that's when I binge, and then I feel bad, and then I repent or feel terrible and decide I'm never going to do that again. And it's this thing it's quite normal, even expected. Okay, well, that can change. Similar to when my daughter was telling me she was gaining weight, and we talked about it. She was out of town doing this ministry, and at night they were eating cake every night. She said, Dad, every night we're eating cake, and I've gained 10 pounds. And I said, okay, next. And she said they were passing around cake in buckets where she was living. It was just a humorous thing. And I said, so you're telling me you've eaten all you need, and then they pass around cake in buckets, and you eat that, knowing you don't need that? And she's like, yeah, I can't help it. And I gave her a tip, and it's going to help you with the binging too. I said, well, next time they pass around those buckets of cake, when you look in there and decide if you're going to reach in and get a piece of cake, instead of seeing it as cake, see it as a cigarette. Because she would never consider smoking a cigarette. Next time you're in a position of you've eaten and now you're on the verge of binging, look at it as if you're about to smack your kid. Oh, I would never smack my kid. Well, that's the same way you should look at binging. But it's become so normalized. Look at it like you're about to drop acid. Look at it like you're about to do something you would never consider doing. Because guess what? For people that don't binge, it's like a weird thing to binge. It needs to be a weird thing for you, but you've normalized it. It ain't normal. It's weird. It shouldn't be happening. You're choosing it. And the last thing I'll say is, unleash the power within. Okay, that was a Tony Robbins thing, right? But there's a power that as Christians we have in us that a lot of people never access it. A fruit of the Spirit is self-control. And when you're about to do something you know you don't want to do, you know you shouldn't do, you have a power within you that you can access. You can choose not to access it. It's like having a bank account with $1 million and you're out shopping and you don't even know it's there. You have access to a power to not do that, right? To go in life and to do something else. So see it as crazy, because it is, and access that power that God has given you to say no thank you. I'm Trainer Joe. Train your brain and transform your body.